Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the first episode of the VGZ DLC,
Catchy
and I'm
title.
yeah, no, now an acronym hell. Basically, this is a little kind of extra sort of addition to the podcast. We figured it'd be a fun idea to have maybe a YouTube video up and have you guys complain to us on the YouTube comments.
Because you
Uh,
need more places to complain to us.
yes, exactly. Um, so I guess we'll get right into it since we are limited to like a 10-minute time limit, I think, because of YouTube's 10 limit time limit. So, without further ado, our topic for discussion this week is a topic that has come up very recently again, although it's been quite prominent since the PlayStation 1 days, even, or actually probably just the PlayStation 2 days, but we'll get to that later. Um, but we're going to be talking today about cover art
Yes.
and our opinions on cover art. Now, Zed, I know you have a very, very personal opinion as to this matter. So, what do you think about the current controversy? And obviously, there were two big box arts released in recent weeks. Yakuza 3's box art, according to a link at GameFly, looks like this, um, and of course, the Japanese box art looks a little nicer, or at least some people think it looks a little nicer. Um, and then, of course, also the Heavy Rain box art, which there is now three different box arts for. There's the American box art, the European box art, which I think looks quite stylish, but you know, and the Japanese box art, which is a nose in a pond of water.
Yes,
So,
it is.
Sid, what do you feel? Why don't you give me some insight on your opinion?
Well, it's kind of a strange thing for me to get mad over because living in Europe, we usually get the better box art. But I get mad for people, and it you look at it and you look at like the Yakuza 3 cover, and it looks pretty stylish. It sort of sums up the general style of the game. It looks very you can see how it fits into the style of what they're doing with the game. And then you look at the American one, and it's like, well, you've taken a close up of Kazuma's face and you've stuck it on a red background, and that's it. It doesn't represent anything. There's nothing there that says, "Oh, this is what Yakuza 3 is. This is the style. This is everything." No, it's just a red background with a picture of Kazuma on the front, and it just looks really ugly and really quickly done in Photoshop. And I get really sort of worked up that these sort of things come from marketing meetings where they've gone, right, listen, this looks a bit artistic and the American public will never go for it, so we need to replace it with something that looks really simple. And it's not the first time it's happened. I mean, the most famous one that comes up whenever you do this is Ico or Eco, however you want to pronounce it, for the PlayStation 2. Again, I'm very lucky. The European box art is again very stylish and it takes in the sort of the style of the game and what it's about. And it looks good on a shelf, which is kind of, it's the only reason I think you need decent box art is because when you're looking over your collection, you want to sit there and say, "Hey, that's a really nice looking cover. I like that." And then you look at the American one and it's like, "Well, really? That's the best you could do? You just get a derpy looking Photoshop of the main character and sort of make that mess of it, and that just looks like, I don't know, the cover for whatever that PlayStation 2 launch title was, like Orphan or something." The
Mm.
one that was just all over the place. And you think, well, where's that? Doesn't box art's supposed to represent something about the game. It's supposed to grab you, and that doesn't grab anybody. It just says, look how generic this is. And I think that's the way that a lot of the box art is going. And it's kind of I guess, it's not a deal breaker whether or not you buy a game or not, but still, it's something that they obviously spend money on and they need to put thought into if they want to do a properly turned out product. And that's my general take on it anyway.
Okay. Well, I come from somewhat of a different opinion. I guess it's a little weird considering I am, American. But my opinion on the matter is I really don't give two shits. Honestly, the box art for me personally is the last thing I really worry about, and I think it's because I think personally it's really only been in recent years more or less where box art has become an issue. Like import games back in the day didn't really have much in the way of box art that was really concernable. Like most of the time, you would throw out the box. Like you buy a Super NES uh, game and you throw out the box. Most people. I mean, obviously collectors are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you threw out the box." But personally, most of the time, I mean, I throw out the box. Um, so for me, I've never really cared too much about the box art. And I'm reading comments about these stories on like Kotaku and stuff, and I just sit there and go, really? Like this one guy, he writes, "This is the biggest pet peeve I have with gaming right now."
Wow.
So it's not the fact that let's see Activision and EA rehashing game after game, year after year. No, I actually really kind of pissed off about box art. Or another who is commenting, and these are both comments I read about the Yakuza 3 box art. Man says, "Do they want this game to fail?" Now, if this was like it kind of conflicted me a little bit because I could understand where the person's coming from, but I really, personally, Yakuza 3 is going to be bought by the people who originally wanted the game imported over to America. I really don't think, and I could be proven wrong, and I actually would be happy to be proven wrong in this respect. But I really don't think any Joe off the street is going to see the box, not just the box art for Yakuza 3, but maybe like an advert or something for Yakuza 3, and really go, well, that's a great game. I'm going to go pick that up tomorrow. I hope that people do, but I really don't. I think the box art will be the last thing that people really concern themselves about, especially with a game like this, where it's one of those games that really it's kind of a fan base game. Now, this Heavy Rain, on the other hand, it's a game that I haven't seen any adverts yet for, but knowing Sony, I'm going to see adverts. I'm probably going to see a Heavy Rain. I'm having a feeling I'm going to see a Heavy Rain advert at the Super Bowl because I believe Heavy Rain comes out a little after the Super Bowl. Um, like to me personally, I think the whole argument about box art is bollocks. I mean, you look at Final Fantasy's box art. Like the original Final Fantasy box art was just a white fucking piece of paper with the title on it.
You see, now Final Fantasy is a very interesting thing because this Final Fantasy 13 is the first one where they've broken this whole scheme they've had going on since like two. The the
Um,
the sort of logo thing and the
not in
nice
America,
pristine box.
not in America.
Really?
Yeah,
Is
in
that still
America,
going on
no.
over there?
Since 10, we've had pictures of people. Actually, I really liked the cover art for the original Final Fantasy 10 in America. It was a picture of Titus holding a flame sword standing in water. And
Oh,
it looks really cool. Like I thought it looked really, really cool. And the Final Fantasy 12 box art was like steampunk, and it really kind of got me looking at the game box at least and go, "Wow, that's an interesting game. I actually would want to play this." And I guess maybe because they were trying to draw more people in the American audience, and in that respect, it probably drew in a few more people than it probably would have if it was just the white box with the regular text.
maybe. But I mean, I don't know. I admit that the people that worry about these things are probably in the minority, and it's never going to stop me from buying a game that I want. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's unnecessary. I don't understand why you need to screw up something like that when you've already done it perfectly the first time.
Well, I mean, I guess personally, I guess the only thing I could think of is they have to hire, they're hiring graphic artists, so they might as well make them do work.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, I do agree, at least in some respect, that I don't see any reason for them to change the to change it. Really, I don't see any reason for that. But at the same time, I don't really see any reason to complain about it all that much if it does get changed. Personally,
Yeah, it's probably not a deal breaker, but it's something that's just a little bit of an annoyance to some people.
yeah, as long as I don't claim it to be like the biggest pet peeve with gaming right now, I think
No,
that's just
that's silly.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, I'd rather like I'd rather play rehashes and worry about the rehashes being the problem than just the box art.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, it was great talking to you as usual, Zed.
And to you?
Yeah, and I hope you all enjoyed our first DLC. Hopefully, more to come in the future. Hopefully, we'll get them done a little quicker than it took us to get this one done. But uh, you stay classy, VGZ.
Bye, guys.